The news that has stirred up the NBA this week involves the Chicago Bulls and two of their most talked-about players, Nikola Vucevic and Patrick Williams. According to sources close to the franchise, the Bulls management is expected to attempt to trade both players this season, seeking to overhaul the roster and give new direction to a project that has seemed stuck in the same stage for years without significant progress toward the top of the Eastern Conference. This move not only reignites debates about the team's competitiveness, but also raises the issue of the management's view on which players can truly sustain the franchise's future. If you enjoy this type of NBA analysis and follow market movements that can change the fortunes of teams, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates on the Chicago Bulls and the entire league. Veteran center Nikola Vucevic was acquired in 2021 in a trade with the Orlando Magic that at the time seemed like a great move for the Bulls. The idea was to give the team a dominant presence in the paint, someone capable of consistently scoring, grabbing rebounds and offering offensive versatility. However, over the past few seasons, he hasn't fit in as expected. Despite his solid scoring and rebounding numbers, Vucevic's presence hasn't translated into significant wins, nor has he helped the team establish itself as a true contender. His age, combined with a significant contract value, further complicates the long-term outlook for the franchise, which appears inclined to seek a renewal. Patrick Williams, on the other hand, presents a different dilemma. Drafted 4th overall in 2020, Williams was seen as a prospect for defensive potential and technical development over time. However, injuries and inconsistency marked his early career, preventing him from reaching the heights expected of a lottery pick. At 23, there's still room for growth, but the patience of management and fans seems to have run out, especially since his offensive contributions remain below what's needed to justify his position as a cornerstone of the rebuild. As a result, the Bulls find themselves facing a delicate situation. On the one hand, the team still retains key players like DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, players who, in theory, could lead the team to a competitive level. On the other, a lack of consistency and identity on the court has prevented Chicago from rising above mediocrity. Investing in structural changes via trades emerges as an inevitable alternative to shake up the franchise and make room for new players who truly fit into a medium and long-term project. The biggest challenge will be finding trade partners willing to take on the contracts and expectations associated with Vucevic and Williams. Vucevic at 33 could attract teams looking for immediate reinforcements in the paint, especially teams that believe they're one or two pieces away from a title shot. Williams, on the other hand, could spark interest from franchises willing to bet on his defensive potential and a potential future explosion, as long as the price is considered reasonable. Balancing market value and expectations will be crucial for the Bulls to achieve significant returns on these moves. Historically, the Bulls have gone through similar phases in which they tried to accelerate rebuilding processes, but ended up stuck in poor decisions or ineffective signings. Fans remember well the post-Jimmy Butler years, when the franchise was slow to find a clear direction, and even when it seemed to be on the rise, saw progress stagnate. A repeat of this cycle is precisely what the board wants to avoid, but the task requires courage and accurate market reading. It's also important to consider the impact of these potential changes on the locker room and team chemistry. Vucevic, despite criticism, has always been recognized as a dedicated professional and respected by his teammates. His departure could alter the group's emotional balance. Williams, however, being young, still enjoyed the trust of part of the squad and could be seen as someone with room to improve. The board will need to manage not only the technical aspects, but also the human aspects, so that the transition doesn't further compromise the team's performance this season. From a strategic standpoint, the decision to attempt to trade Vucevic and Williams can be interpreted as the beginning of a new era for the Bulls. The board seems to finally admit that the current core isn't enough to compete among the Eastern Conference greats, and that continuing down this path would only prolong mediocrity. This opens the door to an uncertain future, but also to new possibilities for a more solid rebuild, based on players who truly fit the team's game plan. Fans, as always, are divided. Some argue that keeping Vucevic could still yield results, especially in regular season games where his statistical output remains significant. Others, however, see the move as necessary to free up salary cap space and allow the franchise to pursue younger players with greater room for development. In Williams' case, the frustration is even greater, as many expected him to be one of the faces of the rebuild, but reality has shown otherwise. Regardless of which path the Bulls take, what's clear is that patience has reached its limit. The franchise needs to show action and clarity of purpose, whether opting for a complete rebuild or seeking out players to complement its current key players. This season could therefore be remembered as a turning point for Chicago, marking the end of an era of uncertainty and the beginning of a bolder renewal process. And you, Bulls fan or NBA enthusiast, what do you think of this move? Is trading Nikola Vucevic and Patrick Williams the right choice for the franchise's future? Or is the team about to repeat past mistakes? Leave your opinion in the comments, like this content, and subscribe to the channel to follow all the developments in this saga that promises to shake up the NBA season.